But I've been doing this since 2006. That's almost 20 years of brand creation, content creation. I was doing it before YouTube was YouTube. I was doing it before, and look, there's mechanical pieces of this that I think make sense that you should duplicate, but I would never want to duplicate exactly what somebody else was doing. I want to be as original as possible because that's what you're paying me for. So when I analyze a brand, I'm like, how do I make that cooler? How do we make that more exciting? Oh, it should look like this. If anybody hates on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to create it, they have no clue because they can't create what you're creating. So their only operation in life when they hate on you for what you create is that they can't create anything themselves, so they want to stop you. So when they hate on you, use it and say, I'm going in the right direction. So when I analyze a brand from the beginning, or if someone comes to me, I really want to take a look at the whole ecosystem and feeling of that individual, right? So people come to me because I have a Syslo style. There's a definitive style that I have, and it's very unique out there in the marketplace, and it's not something that, it's not directly duplicatable, but there's something about it that has a lot of truth and sincerity that's built into it, and it's coming from the ability to really understand what that brand is going to be about and how that brand should be represented in the marketplace. And I don't think you could go for the quick buck. Yes, we'll just do this, we'll just do this. But I've been doing this since 2006. That's almost 20 years of brand creation, content creation. I was doing it before YouTube was YouTube. I was doing it before Instagram was doing Reels. And I was doing restaurants, I was doing 5-star hotels, I was climbing mountains, I was hanging out of helicopters. I have been doing this for a very long time, and I know what brands want to get across and what they don't want to get across. And I don't think that skill set is something that just comes. It comes from having done thousands of hours of footage, thousands of hours of creation, thousands of hours of creative ability to look inside of a business owner's mind and take something that is really, could be boring and make it exciting. I remember when I worked one of my first jobs in this space, I had to take sales, a sales book actually, and make that sales book like a rock star. And I only took it because the guy that was writing the book, those of you who know that it is Mr. Cardone, had a lot of energy and power, and I was able to just translate that into content creation. So there's a part of me being able to understand the message of what someone's talking about, but then translating that into web design, translating that into graphics, translating that into content. And that's a little bit more of a premium experience when you work with me and what my clients get when they work with me. Yes, I have a team to help facilitate, but every brand and every content that goes out that door, I'm looking at because I want to have the Syslo mark on it. There are definitively parts of construction with web design and content creation that mechanically don't change. They have to stay the same. But I try to not make it the same, okay? I get tired when I see a lot of cookie cutter stuff. I get tired when I see, oh, we're just gonna keep doing the same thing over and over again. I like to bring a little bit of flair into whatever it is that I'm gonna produce and whatever it is that I'm gonna create, because I just feel like it's too bland without it. Look, I'm an artist at heart. I'm an artist who understands the need to sell, understands the need to create something different, who understands that what we're doing here is we just want attention. And I did another video about this, but people ruin their own ability to get that content out and enjoy that differentiator because they want it to look like what somebody else was doing. And they said, oh, I just want to duplicate that. And look, there's mechanical pieces of this that I think make sense that you should duplicate, but I would never want to duplicate exactly what somebody else was doing. I want to be as original as possible because that's what you're paying me for, or that's what you're paying your agency for. And if they can't do that, then what are we doing here? And so for me, I look at web development, graphic design, video editing, video production as something that's wholly unique and experiential to what it is that we're trying to create. Like the cameras that we use, the style that we use, everybody that calls me that's a lead is like, dude, your videos are so crispy, they look so nice. It's because of I know what I'm doing. And I know that what I'm creating is different. And if you're not into that and you want to go cookie cutter, then go with a cookie cutter agency. If you want something a little more premium, you're going to come to me, because this is going to be an artistic experience. It's going to be an artistic expression. And that's only come from the last 19 years of doing this. Since I was in high school, I just kept creating and experimenting and cutting. And that's what you're buying. You know, traveling across the Southwest United States, Canada, Latin America, China, all these places have influenced me to be able to create something totally unique that you don't just get access to from anywhere. I've been to really big cities, and I've been to the smallest towns in the middle of this country you could imagine, but I've always kept the same thing. I get that quality done, I get that differentiator that exists out there so that you have something unique. That's what we're doing here. I'm sick of the same. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of, oh, we have to follow this. Why? Who created that and said that that's the right way to do it? Who did that? Oh, they got results. Does that mean you're going to get results? I don't know. I've done that. I've done both. I've done both where it's like we went totally different and it worked way better than trying to copy what somebody else was doing, and it totally failed. You got to find that unique piece, and if you don't have it, you got to find it, and that's what I help you do. So we just got kicked out of a parking lot right now. We're in the middle of filming. Like, restriction, 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 restriction. That's what we're dealing with every day. Restriction, restriction, restriction. Fuck, sick of restriction, man. So how do you combat restriction? You move somewhere else and you find something that's a little more free. You go to where you're treated best and you create your best art. That's what I do, okay? So if I'm doing any kind of ad, if I'm doing any type of video, I want it to be restriction free. Because the more restrictions I add into something, the less impactful it's going to get. And I did a video about this. Artists, you know, listening to people that are not artists, ruining the art so it loses its maximum impact. You have to be really careful with this, because you could lose the impact of everything you're working on and trying to create, because otherwise, why are you even doing this in the first place? If someone's sucking the joy out of it, I don't want to work with that person. I just don't. I just don't. I lose interest. I'm like, sure, we'll just do whatever you want, okay? Fine, we'll do that. But at the same time, there's a part of me that's dying a little bit because I don't get to express it the way that I want to express it. So when you're working with me, you're getting access to that creative skill set. You're getting access to all of that stuff. And if anybody starts invalidating it, you also got to remember, I can only work with what I can work with. I can blow it up as big as I can. But if you're not giving me the energy, if you're not giving me the fire, there's not much I can do with it. So creative abilities that I have been developed through thousands of hours of training, flying, photographizing, videographizing, all of it. And that's what you're buying when you work with me. So when I analyze a brand, I'm like, how do I make that cooler? How do we make that more exciting? Oh, it should look like this. You know, I don't like a lot of empty space. I like space to be filled strategically, and art. I could do art with words on landing pages just to drive the eye down the line. And so the whole point of this is I'm looking at what's being presented, and it's automatically where can we improve that. In every single project that I've ever touched, I have done it in a way where I left it better off than when I arrived. Every single one. I have left it better than when I arrived. And that's the goal of why I create what I create, because that's what I want to do. So why am I saying all that? I'm saying all that because in my agency world, we've got a lot of work to do every day. Art goes into every single piece of content that we put out. Now, if we were to break down and lose everything that we were actually trying to assimilate because somebody doesn't like art or somebody doesn't appreciate the entire output of what it is that we're focusing on, then we've totally lost the goal and objective of why we're doing marketing in the first place, and that is to capture attention, okay? How do I capture attention? I'm looking at it from a crispy standpoint. I'm looking at it from a color standpoint. I'm looking at it from a communication standpoint. I'm looking at it from a visual standpoint. And if I don't have those elements in, or if I have any of those elements restricted at any time, I can't say that we're going to be able to deliver something that's really unique, valuable, and expressionful, right? So for me, that whole entire focus, the entire operation of what we're trying to accomplish is based around this notion of how do I make you different from that guy? or that kid that's sitting in his house. Or even now, these AI avatars where they have chicks sitting on beds pitching products because business owners obviously want to buy this. I don't know why, but they do. Or they don't want to do the realest part. All this stuff that I just listed to you is lazy advertising. This is lazy. I don't want to put the effort in, and I don't want to showcase who I actually am in the marketplace. That's a hiding factor, but you are not going to sell. You are not going to close. You are not going to drive traffic unless you are someone who is willing to step out into the camera and have a conversation with them. It's just the truth. The guys that do it, they win. The guys that don't do it, they don't win. The guys that are lazy, they don't win. I'm sorry. So you have to put a little bit of effort in, give it a little bit of chutzpah, whatever that word is. And just remember that what we're doing here is creating art on the basis of gathering attention to be able to maximize everything that you're doing out there on social media, on your website. And that's what I do with our web development. That's what I do with our graphics. That's what I do with our videos. And that's what I do with our photos. And if anybody hates on art, they're just trying to stop you from growing. If anybody hates on what you're trying to do and how you're trying to create it, they have no clue because they can't create what you're creating. So their only operation in life when they hate on you for what you create is that they can't create anything themselves, so they want to stop you. So when they hate on you, use it and say, I'm going in the right direction. Anybody that hates your videos, anybody that trashes your art, anybody that says, oh, that's too generic, they have no idea what they're talking about. You just keep going and you're going to get there. No one will do you like me.